All right, and welcome back to another short edition of The Wrestler's Dozen. I am Randy Isbell.
And I'm David Duffenberg.
And this week we go back to being a little sour, looking on the bad side of wrestling. We're going to look at the 6 worst WCW Heavyweight Championship reigns. And oh boy, are there some bad ones.
Yeah.
There were some fantastic ones. Obviously, Ric Flair held it for like 500 days. Hogan had it 6 times for 1,100 days. Most of those days with an NWO spray painted on the title. But we are going to look at the bad ones. And this first one on the list is one that probably doesn't deserve to be here, but we had to come up with a 6th. And Chris Jericho just missed the cut because even though the WCW title turned into the Undisputed Championship, so his reign wasn't as long, he did carry it into WrestleMania, and he did beat The Rock and Austin in the same night, so we bumped it up. And we gave this spot to Ron Simmons, who was the first African-American heavyweight champion in wrestling history, very iconic. Held it for 150 days. Again, a good title reign. So again, he's going to finish 6th on this list. It's almost guaranteed. He won on August 2nd, 1992 on Main Event, where he actually had won a raffle because Sting got hurt. So they needed a new contender for Vader, and he won the draw or whatever. And he ended up beating Big Van Vader, which was great. But then he lost it to Vader on December 30th on a house show. And the reason why I think he, to me, makes this list is, other than the iconic moment of being the first African American to win a championship, and Ron Simmons being a fantastic wrestler, his reign was just, please have a babyface hold it until Sting gets back, please.
Yeah.
Because then he loses to Vader on a house show just so Vader can lose it to Sting like was originally planned.
Yeah, because also if you're world champion defending against the Barbarian, you're not priority. It was one of those reigns like when CM Punk was first champion. He was definitely not the focal point. Like even when Goldberg first got the title, he was not main eventing either because they were just like, well, Goldberg's got to get it, and now let's do our Hogan celebrity stuff. And it was good long reign. You could just tell it wasn't supposed to be on him, which made it weird.
Not a long reign. And this was a little bit cheating, but it was still the WCW Championship. But Kurt Angle did win it at one point, back when the whole invasion and all of that crap. He defeated the champion Booker T on July 26th on SmackDown, lost it back to Booker T on July 30th. So the old 4 days. I think on Wikipedia it's 6 days because they count it from when it was taped and not when it aired.
Yeah.
So again, just 4-day reign for Kurt Angle. Very unnoteworthy.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you're going to see on these WCW ones.
Yeah, like when he put that on the list, I was like, wait, what? He was the invasion, the well-booked invasion that should have lasted 2 years, and we got 3 months of. And
it went by really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the B players of WCW. Which, going back there, I was watching some 2000 Nitro stuff as research for this list.
I'm sorry.
Wow. The roster was rough back then. Storylines were worse.
Yeah.
Let's go to 2000, where Chris Benoit, WWE made this big thing at WrestleMania 20. Chris Benoit finally won the big one. Well, he won the big one on January 16th of 2000, where he defeated Sid Vicious at Sold Out as WCW was trying to talk him into signing a new contract. Chris Benoit said, "Thank you very much, but I am still going to the competitor." So they went, "Well, screw you. You are vacating the title the next night on Nitro, where we are going to say that Sid's foot went under the rope as you were getting the 1, 2, 3 or the tap out or whatever it was." I didn't go back and watch that because whatever. And you will be stripped of the title and never seen on our show again. So a 1-day reign for Chris Benoit.
Yeah, I remember those times, and wasn't he on SmackDown 3 days later, 4 days
I
later.
don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I just remember it was just a crap show in WCW then. I think it was between like Benoit or even Tank to win the title that night. And I think they went with Benoit hoping, oh, he's going to stay. Nope. Toodaloo. We lost the best wrestler in the world, and you couldn't even keep him giving him your world title. So
Right.
you're in a good hands there.
And the best part is we're going to just keep the ball rolling with our next guy. So Benoit stripped of the title on January 17th. And Sid Vicious won the title the next week on Nitro, January 24th, where he was voted as the most popular WCW guy at the time or something.
Sure.
So he was going to get the championship, but Kevin Nash was the commissioner. So he said, well, you're going to face me for the championship. But before that, you have to beat one of the Harris brothers. Oh, and you can't use your power bomb because I'm the commissioner, and that's so confusing. So he beats the Harris brother, and then he beats Kevin Nash on Nitro. Loses it on January 26th, even though it was taped the next day, when Kevin Nash came out and said, no, you pinned the wrong Harris brother. And here's a clip of what happened during the commercial break where the referee realized you pinned the wrong Harris brother and then counted you out. Yet, after you got counted out and lost, I still faced you for the championship, which you beat me. But that doesn't count because...
It reminds me of that Austin Powers part when he's talking about going back in time. And what happens when I go back in time and I see myself? Will I see myself, or will I be able to see it eye-on cross-eyed? And yeah, that's what happens. Because commercial breaks don't count. It's like a house show. So you got to redo it, even though the crowd saw it.
That is why this summer the WWE said no wrestling during commercial breaks.
Exactly.
They didn't want this to happen.
Vince fell asleep and woke up watching the network, and they happened to be airing that episode. It's like, no!
So bad.
No wrestling on commercials.
So, he gets vacated of the championship. They give it to Kevin Nash. So, Kevin Nash then says, hey, I'm a given guy. You can now face me and the other Harris brother in our version of Hell in a Cell in a triple threat match that's not really a triple threat match because the only way that you can win is by pinning me, the champion, the commissioner, and that's it. So then Sid, that night, won the title back by submitting Kevin Nash with the crippler crossface that he stole by the leaving Chris Benoit, even though Kevin Nash says you have to pin me. Fuck you, WCW. Then he held the title all the way to April 10th, 2000, when he was stripped of the title again by Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff because they were hitting the reset button and everyone lost their titles. And there you go. Sid Vicious, 2 title reigns, 78 days, never lost a title ever. It's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
I think.
Brian Alvarez wrote a book called The Death of WCW, and this is probably outlined in there, if I remember correctly. And yeah, just one of many reasons why there's a book called The Death of WCW. Not the hard times, but the death.
Good God. So this started so many title reigns. I don't remember the numbers.
I thought the 24/7 title was bad.
It was. So Sid gets stripped of the title. Jeff Jarrett wins it at Spring Stampede. 8 days later, DDP wins it back from him. Then they do a tag team match of all things, where whoever got the pin was going to be the champion, and that was on April 25th of 2000 on Thunder, where David Arquette broke the internet when the internet was still young and infantile.
Yeah, being built.
As he teamed with DDP against Jeff Jarrett and Eric Bischoff. At least, to me, this isn't as outrageous as some of these because he did pin Bischoff. I mean, yes, it was for the title, so it was stupid. But
Yeah.
he didn't go out there and like straight up beat Jeff Jarrett. to win the title. It was something silly.
Well, like he did a 450 splash and then a triple power bomb
and then on May 7th he loses the title to Jeff Jarrett in the triple cage with the whatever that movie was called. Ready to Rumble cage thing. DDP was also in it. David Arquette turns on DDP and hits him with a guitar to let Jarrett win. That part made no sense. Nothing in WCW made sense. But again, at least they didn't book David Arquette to be this big badass.
Yeah, it's not like he submitted Tank and knocked him out. Yeah, it was obviously stupid, but it's not like you said, it wasn't like he went out and beat their top guy fair and square. It was gimmicky. Like, the part that annoyed me was it was a match for the title and DDP was ecstatic that David Arquette won. It's like, dude, you're not the champion now, and you could have won it. But
I don't know. So then there's Vince Russo. One title reign for 7 days. He won it on September 25th, 2000, where he won in one of those triple cages. There was 8 guys in the ring. He was wearing a helmet and shoulder pads and looked like a doofus, and he got speared by Goldberg while holding on to the title, so he escaped the cage with the belt, and he's your new champion. But next week he went, I'm not a wrestler, so I'm going to vacate it.
Screw you.
And that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a swerve, bro.
Okay, so before we get to ranking, I have this list up. And I just want
That's
to...
a lot of names.
Yep. So I'm going to just list off the names that held the title in 2000. Okay, so Bret Hart had it. He had the title vacated. You're going to hear that a lot. He had the title vacated. Chris Benoit won it for 1 day. He had it vacated. Sid Vicious had it for a day. He had it vacated. Then Kevin Nash had it for less than a day before Sid Vicious beat him. He had it for 76 days. Huge.
Epic.
Before he had that vacated.
The San Martino reign.
Then Jeff Jarrett had it for 8 days before DDP beat him. He held it for a day before David Arquette was your new champion. He held it for 12 days before hanging it over to Jeff Jarrett. We're in May, by the way.
Yeah.
Jarrett had it for 8 days before he lost it to Ric Flair, his 7th WCW title reign. He held that for 7 days before Vince Russo stripped him of the title. How dare he?
Which means it's now vacant.
Vacant again. Then he awarded the title to Jeff Jarrett, who held it for a day.
Oh, yeah.
Lost it to Kevin Nash, who won a triple threat match with Scott Steiner also involved. He held it for 6 days.
Ooh.
Next week on Nitro is Flair then was handed the title by Kevin Nash. I'm so lost. That same night on Nitro, Jeff Jarrett beat Ric Flair for the title.
Ooh, there we go.
He held it for 41 days and we finally calmed down. He finally loses it to Booker T after the Hulk Hogan Bash at the Beach controversy. So Hogan had won it and then got it stripped, but that's not on here. Oh, God. We're in July. Booker T holds it for 50 days, loses it to Nash. Nash holds it for 20. He loses it back to Booker T in a caged heat match, whatever that was.
I think just a cage match, if I remember right.
He holds it for 8 days before Vince Russo, as we said, wins it. Holds it for 7 days before he vacates it himself. And then it kind of goes back to normal. Booker T wins it, holds it for 55 days. Loses it to Steiner in a straitjacket steel cage match, who holds it for 120. Now we're into 2001, where Booker T wins it, holds it till we get to WWF. My head hurts. Your head hurts. This video is too long. Let's rank this stuff. But that is just WCW in 2000. We're going to have a whole video on it. Don't worry. Okay. The best of these is Ron Simmons. I felt really bad even putting him on this list. After that, I say Sid. Just for the fact that he had 2 title reigns, held it for 78 days, never lost.
Yeah.
It's not his fault the booking was bullshit. And I like Sid. As long as you don't give him a microphone.
Or do.
Where do you go? Do we go Kurt Angle?
I think so.
I mean, a 4-day
It
reign.
technically counted, and he's at least a good wrestler. It's not like it was an offensive reign or anything. It wasn't like he was stripped of the title.
All right. How do you rank Arquette, Russo, Benoit?
I think Vacant's number 1.
Yes.
I think we got to go with Russo because he was the booker who books himself the title. That's just ridiculous. And for me, Arquette would be next. No, I think Benoit.
Honestly, I mean, it was just
A last
it was
ditch.
half a day. I mean, it's not a thing against him. There's more that you can go up against Benoit, but it was here's the title to please stay. Oh, it didn't work.
Yeah.
A fake title did not keep you in that company. And Arquette, even though everyone said that was the death of WCW, I just showed you 90 reasons for the death of WCW. David Arquette was 47th.
Yes.
I mean, people need to just calm down. Yes, an actor winning the championship is just blasphemy. But again, he didn't go out there and powerbomb Sid to win the title. He
Vince
won it.
McMahon has been world champion.
Yes. And ECW champion.
Yes.
And a Royal Rumble winner. As long as you book it right, it works. This was booked okay. It worked enough for the craziness that was WCW of 2000. God, I'm tired after listing that off. Will you please
Yes.
catch them up? I'm
All
going to
right.
take a nap.
Our very worst WCW champion, Vince Russo. Followed by Chris Benoit and his 1-day fake reign. Followed by David Arquette at number 3. Slamboree superstar himself. Number 4, Kurt Angle with his faux WCW title run. 5, Sid, and that booking disaster of 2 days, which was painful to look at, and I might be bulimic because of it. And 6, Ron Simmons, great man. They did not want him to be champion because he was not Sid. Or Sting, I should say.
Sting.
Yeah.
And he's made some good matches. We're doing a Clash of Champions one here soon.
Doom.
Some good matches with Doom. And a good singles run. And, of course, APA and all that. So nothing against Ron Simmons. But when you only have 22 people to pick from, and a lot of them had really good reigns, and we had to have a 6th. So
Yeah.
Ron Simmons, I'm sorry, you got that spot. You're nothing like the other 5. I promise you that. So that is that. Tell us who your favorite champion was of the 2000s, of the year 2000 in WCW. There was a lot to choose from. Vacant is possible. I think they held the title 5 times that year.
Yeah, they're from parts unknown, too.
It was rough. So I am going to go put ice on my head and relax, put my feet up, and not watch WCW 2000 for a little bit. So David, I'm Randy, and we will see you next week.
Indeed.